Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel, and it's Christmas Eve. So I have got my final Christmas design to share with you all. Now this design was a request from one of my subscribers, Jacqueline, and so if you would like to see how I created this set, then please keep watching. So I am working on Liza, my red iguana hand. I have applied the gem stiletto tips and chopped the ends off, so I've got a long coffin set. Using the Gems Acrylics range as always, and starting off with Crystal Clear. I'm then going to be using Angel White, and then my festive Christmas colours I picked out to use in this design are Jenny and Izzy, these two beautiful greens. I couldn't decide which one to use, so I decided to go with both of them. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Hope for a touch of Christmas red. And finally, for some sparkle, I have got Lucy. This is from the new All Wrapped Up collection that I mentioned in a previous video. Swatches are on my Instagram and Facebook. I will be using the Gems acrylic brush in size 10. This is the Kate brush. I've been chopping and changing between the Eleanor and the Kate brush. I do love a smaller brush, but I'm loving Kate for slightly longer designs. So I use them both. I'm going to start off with my thin clear base, and then I will be getting into the design. As I said, this design was requested by one of my subscribers. I asked for any input for designs you'd like to see over Christmas, and she came up with a Christmas colour block and a bit of a glitter swoosh. So here it is. The accent nail in this is the Colourblock nail, so we'll keep going back to it as we go. But I'm starting off with my first block at the cuticle and using Angel White. I want quite small blocks, so they're like stripes. And so I've replaced my first bead, tucked it in around the cuticle to make a nice neat shape. And here you can see I'm just pushing down the product, making it nice and even, and then I will use the belly of my brush to straighten up that line where that colour ends. Now I've done lots of colour blocks in the past on my channel. I've done this one slightly differently in that I haven't encapsulated each block or built up the structure with each block. I'm going to come back at the end and encapsulate where it needed it. Once I was happy with that line and that acrylic had semi-set, I'm going in with my craft knife just to cut away the excess and make that a really nice straight sharp line. Remember, if you are working on clients, please be extra careful with these craft knives. And then just tidying up, getting rid of any little bits of acrylic left on the nail, and I will then leave that fully set. You can use your file as well if you're not confident with a craft knife. If I was not happy, I would just go back and give it a quick file over, but the craft knife does make it nice and quick, which when you are manically busy over Christmas, unfortunately I don't have that issue, anything that speeds things up. On the ring finger, I'm doing an ombre of the two greens, so I'm starting with Izzy at the tip, and then I'm going to go in and apply Izzy as my next colour block. So I've pushed that right up to the white. I don't really want to overlap and get any of the green on the white, but if I did get some colour on the previous colour, it's fine, because I decided to do a quick sort of file over before I capped and got my structure. So I'm doing exactly the same thing as I did with Angel White. I'm making sure I've got a nice neat block, doing as much work with the brush as I can, try and get it at the same thickness as the white, and then I'm just trimming away just any little bits of excess where that line was not quite super straight. and then I leave each block to set before I do the next one. And that way, if there was any little bits that I wasn't happy, didn't think it was straight enough, I could just quickly file. But just tidying it up, and then we'll move on to the next nail ahead of doing the next block. So I am doing a full nail of Hope on the index finger. Just painting this on nice and thin. These colours are all so pigmented, they are a dream to work with. I know I'm going to do a glitter swoosh on this nail, so I'm just keeping it nice and thin because it'll all need to be encapsulated, and obviously I don't want to build up any bulk. So just making sure I've got coverage from cuticle to tip, just going in, adding a touch more where I need it, flipping my brush to feather back, and then I will leave that to set and go on to the next block of colour on my Colourblock nail. As I said, there is a lot of going backwards and forwards with this design because you want to leave each block as long as you can, really. I used way too much red. I didn't drain the bead out beforehand either. Always drain the bead out before you place it on the nail because that will help it not slide all over the place, but it's fine, made it work. So you can see I've pushed it right up to my block of Izzy, got the coverage from sidewall to sidewall, and now I'm using the belly of my brush to really straighten that line, wipe away as much excess as I can. You can see I've got a few little drips down the sides. That's not a problem because I'm going to come in with my craft knife. I'm going to slice away any excess where the line's a bit wonky, and I'm going to get rid of those little bits that are on the nail as well. I wasn't worried if my blocks were different thicknesses down the nail. That's just all part of the fun of it, and unless you got a tape measure it'd be really hard. So I was just sort of going with the flow. Now those few bits on the side, not going to worry about, I'm going to file them. Now we're going in with Lucy, and I'm going to do a full nail of Lucy on the pinky. Just a full glitter. Now this I thought was a really nice Christmassy glitter. It's got gold, green, red. It matched the colour of my design beautifully. It's super sparkly. You've got some sort of more flaky, shardy type glitter in there. It's just lovely glitter. Now you can see just in the corner I'd done a swoosh on the index nail. I didn't like it, so what I did, I actually filed it off, as you can see now. Before I've encapsulated everything, I filed the glitter off. I just touched up the red, and now I'm going in and doing my swoosher. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. If you do something you don't like, don't leave it until you've encapsulated, top coated to change it. File it away, go back in and do it before you've done all that prep. It is so much easier. Don't do it. Don't leave something that you're not happy with. So I'm so glad that I filed it away and redid it. I still wasn't overly happy with it, but I was happier than I was. And I think because it had some shard type glitter in there, it made it a little bit harder to get the exact swooshy shape I wanted. But just played around, used the tip of the brush to move the glitter around, and I got there in the end. I'm then going to do Lucy for my next block. Now this one does need encapsulating, so I kept this nice and thin, put the glitter on and just pushed it up with the side of my brush to get a nice straight line, get rid of any of that excess glitter down the nail. And then once I was happy with that line, I just let that start to set before I came in with clear. So here you can see I'm pushing that glitter up the nail into that block so that I haven't got any glitter on or underneath my last blocks of colour. I wiped any away from the red, and here you can see I am encapsulating. I also thought I'd encapsulate the red while I was here because that one was quite a bit thinner in height than the other two. But again, it didn't need to be perfectly encapsulated because I was going to do it all at the end. I just wanted enough that I could tidy up this block and do the last one. So you can see it's still wiping away. While that's set slightly, I'm going to do a little bit of Lucy at the cuticle on the ring finger. I wasn't going to, I was just going to do this as a 2-colour ombre between the greens, but I decided I wanted to add a little bit at the cuticle, and it's going to be my upside down ombre with the glitter poking out at the bottom, because you all know I love doing that. So just tidying it up, just a little amount. I just pulled it down to where that glitter faded out. And now that has set, or not fully set enough that I can just cut away bit to make it nice and straight. Again, if you're not happy, you can go in with your file once it's fully set and file it, file down the side walls if need be. Here we go, you can see I just wanted to get rid of any little bits that was on the tip, so gone in with my file. The Willow metal file is great for colour blocking nails. I used it with smile lines in my humbug video. Great for these colour blocks. I decided to do another red. I'm quite glad I did. So exactly the same. I didn't drain the liquid out, which was really annoying. But again, I'm just working that block, so I've got a nice straight line. I've got coverage from side wall to side wall. Not worrying about any that sort of drip down because I will file that away. Just making sure I've got a nice block with coverage. Ideally, I didn't want it to overlap my glitter block, but again, it didn't matter if I did because I very lightly filed just over the surface of this nail before I encapsulated at the end to build my structure. That really just helped to get rid of any overlap of the colours and really crisp up those lines. So here you can see I'm just using the side of my brush to really wipe that away and tidy it up, and then just pop in with my craft knife just to get a nice crisp straight line. If you use the craft knife, you don't need to then file unless you're a pedantic perfectionist like myself, and then you might still do it. Whilst that block sets, I'm going in with Jenny on my ombre nail. I've placed that sort of right in the middle where the glitter and Izzy meet, and I'm just feathering, blending that down over top of the first colour. I will then just flip over and feather it back. I left it a bit too long and it had started to set, so it's a bit too much of a straight line for me there. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go in with another little wetter bead so that I can just blend out, feather out that line. Here you can see, and I just tapping that brush so that I've got it just overlapping ever so slightly and blending out, ombreing out. Once I was happy with the blend between the glitter and that colour, then I could focus on the blend between Jenny and Izzy. By painting these acrylics on, working super thin and painting them on, if you need to, you can go back to the first colour just to work on that blend, and that is exactly what I did. These colours are so pigmented, you really can just paint them on, just use them for your designs and then use clear for all your strength and your structure. So here you can see I've got back in with Izzy just to work on the blend between the two colours. Nice. It's so easy to just paint between these two colours, between two colours in this range, and get a nice ombre blend. Now, I knew I was going to add crystals on top of this as well, so it didn't need to be a perfect blend. But again, this is me. So, you know me. I like it to be perfect. Once I was happy, let that set, and we're going to do the final block in my colour block. and that is Jenny. So just placing that right up to that last block of hope and then just painting it on to the very tip. As this is the final block, I could just paint it on without worrying about tidying up that last line. Once that had all set, I then just went over with a 180 grit file just over the surface just to neaten it out, get rid of any colour overlap, and then I encapsulated the whole nail in crystal clear to build up my apex. I've also added some gold little Christmas tree embellishments on my index finger on the red. You just see. I'm unsure about that, but I don't know, I quite like that as a little touch. But now the design is all laid down, I'm going to encapsulate all of these nails in crystal clear, build up my structure, make sure the nail's got strength, make sure everything that I don't want to file away is completely covered, and then I can file the nails to shape. Don't forget, you can just gently file over that colour block first and then encapsulate it. And here they are, all capped and filed. How beautiful does that colour block nail look? I'm so proud of that one. I think it's one of my best colour blocks I've ever done. And I do like those Christmas trees on that hope nail, and it's going to tie in with what I do on the ring finger. So I've picked out a Christmas tree charm. That's where I also got the little embellishments. That little tray was from Shein. And I've got the Olivia Preciosas from the nail team, and also Belle. This is the green and the gold, and I got some red crystals from Crystal Parade out of my drawer. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to apply that Christmas tree right in the middle using the Crystal Nails gem glue. So just placing that on and then just give it a quick flash cure. My torch had run out of batteries and I still hadn't replaced them, so I had to use the lamp. And now I'm just going to do a swoosh from one side of the Christmas tree going up to the cuticle, using a mix of the green, red and gold crystals. As you can see, the red there, which is from my Crystal Parade mixes. Just sort of doing a nice little, almost like a bit of a garlandy type swoosh. And once I was happy with the placement of all of those, I flash cured again, and then I repeated the process on the other side, going from the other side of the tree down to the opposite corner. Here you can see. So just applying some of that gel glue using the pointer end of my Scarlet Centre crystal pickup tool, and then just repeating the pattern. I tried to keep the colour as close to as well, so you'll see me keep turning the nail slightly so I can see which colour I did next. That's just me being really pedantic about it. Once I was happy with all my crystal placement, I give that a full 60-second cure to cure them in place, and now we are going to go in with Miss Tina for the final time before Christmas and top coat all of these nails. How pretty is that glitter though? You could leave out those Christmas trees, but I quite like them. And now we're going to wake up this colour block nail. I think that looks amazing, even if I do say so myself. I was really pleased with how that turned out. If it was slightly longer, I would have done another white block at the end, or I could have made the first white block a little bit thinner so that I could have had white at the end, but I liked it like that. On the ring finger, I am just going to top coat around the crystals and that charm, and come in with a detail brush so I can get right up into any little nooks and crannies. Here we go. And that will really help, I can't think of the word, secure those crystals and that charm in place. So just add an extra layer to stick them in place. So just getting right up and around with my detailer brush. We're going to top coat the final nail pop in the lamp to cure for 60 seconds, and then that's my final Christmas design of 2022 done. And here they are, fully top coated and finished, and I think these turned out brilliantly. I really hope you guys do too. I think they were the perfect Christmas Eve set and final Christmas set for me. But that is it. I do have a couple more videos before the end of the year, but that is it until after Christmas now. So thank you guys for all of your support for my Christmas videos. I hope you all have the most amazing Christmas. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Can I get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year? I would love that if I could. So please share my channel as well. Check out the description box for the details of everything I used in this design. But that is it from me. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you in another video in a couple of days' time. Bye! Mwah.